Okay, I just want to travel through this question. This was actually given to you in week 3. I think it was the second or third question that you got for that week. When I was traveling through the submissions, I could see that a lot of people are having trouble with visualizing what the elevation actually looks like. They seem to have no trouble drawing the actual auxiliary view and then bring it back into your plan. But then when it was actually developing that surface out in the elevation where people were getting caught out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the process that I use to ensure that each point is always located in the right position. So first of all, what we'll do is we'll break down the question. So finished elevation and plan of the remaining section of the square base pyramid. Okay, so we have our oblique plane, so we have our vertical traces here and our horizontal trace here. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to mark in what we have. So this is your VTH. Okay, they are the traces of that plane that is cutting through that object. Now if we look here in our elevation, or actually plan, first of all, what we'll do is we'll start indexing each one of the points of the object itself. This is very important because there's parts here that are very important to us for the end solution, as well as that there's going to be new parts that are going to be dropped in there, new points that are going to be dropped in there once we've found out where that surface is being cut. So I'm just going to start off by calling the apex O, and I'm just going to call the rest of them numbers around the bottom, so the base. So 1, 2, 3, 4. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to locate them above here in my elevation. So I know O's up here. Just going to get my set square. I'm going to tie up the points to ensure that they meet up perfectly. Nice and light, again, they're construction lines. Point 3, point 2, point 4, and point 1. I'm going to join 2 up to the apex, nice and light, again it's all construction, and 4. Now I'm not too worried about putting in detail or putting outlines so far, because again this object is going to be cut, so there's no point, let's say, putting the line O to 2 in heavy because it's out the front, and 0 to 4 dashed, because again we don't know exactly where the object is going to be cut in our elevation plan yet till we draw our auxiliary elevation. And our auxiliary elevation is going to be looking at this oblique plane as an edge view. Now there's actually 2 ways you can look at this, but the way we're going to look at it is along here. So imagine we're standing here on the horizontal plane. So this is our horizontal plane. It's our vertical plane. And this is going to be our plan of the object, and this is our elevation. So when we're standing on our horizontal plane, so this surface anywhere below the XY line here, we're going to be standing right here and we're going to be looking in this direction. When we look in this direction, we're actually going to see the oblique plane. So you can imagine this is the plane here, and we're going to see it as an edge view. So we're going to see it as a line. So all we do is we draw an x1, y1 that is perpendicular to this line here, to VTH. What I like to do is I like to line up the inside of the set square here up against the horizontal trace. X1, Y1, so this is my first auxiliary. Now what I'm going to do is ensure that each of my points is carried up, as well as my horizontal trace, so I can draw in my oblique plane, my VTH. Now again, you know where these points lie. For instance, 1, 4, 3 and 2 are all going to be on the x1, y1 line, because remember they're the base, this auxiliary view, but as well as that is an auxiliary elevation because it's coming from a plan. O, you can extend that up, because remember that is going to be your apex. We know the height of our apex, because we can take it from here, our elevation. This is going to be 1, this is going to be 2, this is going to be H/T, because remember we're looking at this line as an edge view, so our point view, sorry, when you're looking at a line, it would be a point view here. We have our O, which is going to be up here, we have our 4, which is going to be here, and we have our 3 that's going to be here. Now that should be all our points. Now one thing that we're actually missing here is another point that is going to help us draw on our vertical trace, okay, which will be off in a direction like this. But what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to draw on the object before it's being cut. So O will go back down to each one of the points, 1, 2, 4 and 3, which is our apex. That should basically be the same height as we have over here, except it's just rotated a different direction, because you're actually looking in from here instead of looking in from here, because this view is actually looking in from this angle while you're looking in this angle for this one over here, this auxiliary view. What we can do now is draw in our vertical trace. So what I'm going to do is, all I need to do is go anywhere. I could take a height here, for instance. I could go over here, and I could get perpendicular line traveling from the XY line up to the vertical trace. Then I could go where it hits the XY line, take it up parallel with my horizontal trace all the ways up, and then take that distance and knock it off here. But what I like to do is I like to use a line that I've already taken up. So for instance, this one here, so you can see it's traveling all the ways up for O. But what I can do is I can see where it hits the XY line, bring it up to hit my vertical trace. Where it hits my vertical trace there, that distance, I can take that and knock it up over here. Like so. And then we're going to have a line traveling from our HT, which is a point view of our horizontal trace, traveling up through this point and on. And that's going to be our vertical trace down. So now you can see that you're actually looking at this oblique plane as an edge view. So you can imagine you have your oblique plane and you're looking at now like so, where you see our horizontal trace, so let's say HT as a point view because you're looking down on it, and then your vertical trace, you're seeing it as a line. So you're actually seeing this as an edge view of this plane. Now what's important here is where this line intersects each one of our lines here. So you can see it's intersecting 2O here. It's intersecting 4O here. So I'm just going to start numbering these. I'm going to call this 5, 6, and 7. Okay? What I can do now is I can actually draw in what's left to my surface or my object, and that's going to be everything in here below my oblique plane. So I'm just going to put it nice and heavy. Now I could actually think about what here can I see. So if I'm looking in from this angle, I'll be able to see everything here in front of me. Okay, so I will be able to say 2 to O. So where's 2? 2 to O here. So that line's going to be nice and clear for me. Now I'll be able to see 3 to O. Yes. Now 4 to O I will not, because that's behind where I'm looking in. Okay, so I'm looking in from this side. I'm standing here. You can see my head down top, looking in this direction. I can't see 4 to O. So 4 to O here is actually going to be a dashed line, hidden detail. Like so. Now what I can do, that my auxiliary view is completed, I can bring that back into my plan. taking 5 back first, 6 here, six, and then 7 last, which is between 0 and 3. So we have 7, 6 here drops back, and that's between 4 and 0, yeah. And then we have 5, which is going to be here. That's perfect. Okay, so now where a lot of people are getting caught here as well is that we got to remember that our oblique plane is coming down here and cutting off this section. So that's not going to be a part of it anymore. So where our solid lines are going to be, it's going to be here, like so. It's also going to be traveling up here to 0.6 and traveling up here from this point here back up to 5. Then 5 will travel all the way back to 7. 7 all the way back to 6, like so. Okay, so what you've left here is you've actually this surface here left. Let's see. So you have this surface here. As well as that, you also have that surface there. And lastly, we have one more surface that we can see in our plan. Like so. Now there's actually an additional surface, and that's actually going to be the actual base itself, but we can't see that. Now if we were to take this up into our elevation, where a lot of people are getting caught out, we need to take up our point here, like so, as well as our point here, like so. Now these 2 points were represented as where our horizontal trace here was an actual point view, if you get me. Then we have our 2 like normal, and we have the 5 which is above the 2, so that's from 2 to 0. So that's going to be our 5. We have our 7, which is traveling up from our 3 to 0, so 3 to 0. That's 7. And then we have our 6 here, which is traveling up between 4 and 0. So it's going to be there. That's going to be 6. So what we can confirm is that from this point, so from here all the way back to 3, is going to be part of our object. and then we have from this point up to 6 and back to 4, so it's already going back to 4, so we go back up to 6 as well, and then it goes from 6 to 7, like so, and then 7 goes back to 5, and then 5 goes back down to this point, which goes up and hits there, like so. And then we can actually see 5 back to 2, so that's a nice heavy line as well. And what's hidden here is 0 back to 4, so 0 back to 4 here, that's going to be a dashed line. That's a bit hidden detail. And that's what's left of our object. So this pink surface here, like so. Like so, and then that's your drawing finished.